Happy Wednesday, everybody. Kevin J. Johnston here. This is the Real Estate and Money Show, which is absolutely every single Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on freedomreport.ca. We are also on Kick tonight and on TikTok at Real Kevin J. Johnston. So we're always looking forward to speaking to each and every one of you on every single platform that's available out there. We have a guest joining us in just a very few minutes. We're going to be talking about lines of credit, and we're going to be talking about mortgages and some financial information that all of you need to know. However, something very big has happened in Canada. The employment insurance, what the Americans would refer to as unemployment insurance or UI or whatever it might be, employment insurance, EI is what it's called in Canada. Well, they have been speaking directly to the Border Patrol of Canada, the Canada Border Guards. That's right. The Canada Border Guards, EI, is asking if anybody who is currently on employment insurance in Canada has left Canada for more than 7 days. Yeah, they're doing this, and they're doing it without a warrant. They're doing it without endorsements from the court, and they're doing it without court orders signed by judges. Now, I know this because I argued in court today. It was an arbitration today, so it's technically not court. But what it is, a young lady had contacted me. Employment insurance decided to screw her for $13,000. A student, a university student, who was on EI because she lost her job and was living in a car, not even her own car, just a car that she was allowed to sleep in, and was granted the opportunity to live in Mexico with a family member. She decided to go, but the contingency on that only was that she had to take care of a member of the family, we won't say who was suffering from extreme dementia. So when someone in Canada has to take care of a family member and has an opportunity to live in a residence as opposed to being homeless, because when you're living in a car, you're homeless. You actually have the human right to do so. Plus, you have number 6, clause 6 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms says you can travel where you want, when you want, how you want. You don't have to answer to anybody at all unless you have a court order that says that you must make announcements to a particular individual, which, of course, an EI payment to you because you're not employed is not that. So I argued in court, and of course the employment insurance office, knowing that they were going to have to go toe-to-toe with me in court today, chose not to show up. That's right. They didn't show up. They didn't send a lawyer. They didn't send a representative. They didn't send an agent. They sent nobody. And I argued the fact that they did this. They went to the Border Patrol to find out about my client without my client's permission and without a warrant. That is not looking good on them. The fact that they don't show up for the tribunal looks really bad on them. But at the same time, you got to remember this. The EI office also is making phone calls to people all over the country, threatening them and using intimidation tactics, which is Section 423 of the Criminal Code of Canada. You go bye-bye for 5 years if you're guilty of intimidation. Well, that's what they did. And also this EI agent, and we're going to divulge their name soon if they don't apologize, but this particular agent also stated to my client, oh, you can't have a lawyer. No, you don't have the legal right to a lawyer when I'm asking you questions about your personal life and who you live with and who you're staying with and who your family members are. It's none of your business. But through intimidation and duress, they got some answers from her, but still refused to show up and represent themselves. So everybody, you got to keep in mind that the Employment Insurance Office is checking with the Border Patrol, and the Border Patrol is giving them information without a court order, which means you can sue the Border Patrol for sharing information about yourself with the EI office, who have no court orders and do not get court orders, I might add. So heads up, if you're on employment insurance, everyone, this is what they're doing. So what you might want to do is just call the EI office if you're on employment insurance in Canada, if you have to go somewhere, and lie. I'm going to take care of a sick relative. Oh, who is that? I'm not going to be telling you any information about my family. I have AI or EI. They do not. I will not divulge that. But thank you. And I'll be back when the ailment has been dealt with. And then send them a notarized letter. Call me if you have no idea how to do this, telling them that you're going to be out of the country for a bit for medical and family reasons, and they have absolutely nothing that they can do. All right? EI trying to screw you. Contact me if they're doing so. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. Book your 1-hour consultation right now at myname.com, KevinJJohnston.com. I'm now going to bring Aaron Cates on the show. Aaron, thank you for being here. Such a pleasure to see you again. Aaron, tell the whole world who you are and what you do for them. Your microphone's off, by the way. Aaron, your microphone's off. You have to turn your microphone back on.
There we go. Sorry, first show together, Kev. Good evening, ladies and gents. I'm a professional here. I should know better, but my name's Mr. Inspector Cates. I'm with Real Deal Media, but as my main profession is I'm with Northwood Mortgage for the past 23 years. In 2008, Kev, I don't know if I told you this, but I won a professional award for top professional mortich broker in Ontario. What was 2008? Oh, no, we
covered this.
Yeah, it was a tough time, man. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. I don't talk about it much, but it was a tough time back then. 2008 was the market crash and helped a lot of Canadians, and many Canadians really thanked me for their assistance during those times. I was called Angel 4 times, and I'm starting to see the trend from 2008 Kev to today. One thing that's very interesting is that they say our government says the inflation rate is 2.5%, just dropped a quarter point basically in the last month. But I don't buy that, because the thing is, we have 2 million Canadians at the food banks, folks. So how can we have 2 million Canadians at the food banks and we have inflation only at 2.5%? Something the math ain't mething. So I'm here to try and smooth it over for you guys. I'm very good at dissecting, breaking it down, recognizing patterns. And the other thing is with the CERB, I'm seeing Canadians are having a hard time. All of a sudden, they dangle carrots to you, and then the government's asking for clawbacks on many of and Canadians are already having a tough time with gas, inflation, food prices, mortgage rates. So basically, I've been doing this for 23 years, and I specialize in a lot of different difficult applications. Everyone can always do an easy bank loan application where you have perfect credit, perfect income, good salary job. But I specialize in a lot of self-employed Canadians, Canadians who've taken a hit of their credit during the past few years from COVID. And I don't know, you're allowed to speak freely here. You're allowed to say COVID on here. We're not going to take a hit.
I don't know. Maybe I'll delete it off of YouTube when we're done, because they don't like that word. But
no, because I'll speak in code. I'll speak in code line. We say the bat who loved us on our show at Real Deal Media. So I'll say that. But Canadians are struggling, are having a hard time. So as much as we're talking about Bidenomics and how everything's glorious as the Liberals are talking, I was just downtown Toronto about a couple of weeks ago. In the middle of University Avenue, there's tents everywhere. We never saw this growing up as a kid, folks. It really sickens my stomach. I was Canadian, born here, born and raised, and to see this in our streets. I know Vancouver I've been to. I've seen also. This is getting out of hand. But we're trying to come up with some solutions, places where there's not a lot of creativity out there right now. Guys like yourself and myself to help Canadians who are struggling right now. So I think we'll get into it. And there's definitely, I was at a mortgage golf tournament today. And it just happens on the day that I'm doing the Kevin J. Johnson show. What a great day to get intel. So I got a lot of intel from many different brokers, agents, appraisals, lawyers, bankers. And we expect probably a rate drop, Kev, September 4th. If they're going to say that the inflation is lower, a lot of the banks are already expecting a rate drop. So that's a little bit of good news. And why are they doing this, Kev? What do you think? We got a USA election. We got the Whore of Havana is going to have an election in 2025. Usually when elections come around, talking from big professionals, been in the business 25, 30 years. They're saying around election time, it's very interesting that gas prices might come down, mortgage rates are going to come down, inflation, and so forth. All of a sudden, we need a nice looking year, so we have an election. People forget when in good times, people forget about the bad times. So people need to get elected. So you might see some changes for the positive for Canadians. But I also think, I'll leave it at this, is that in August, our government didn't really give much money to Ukraine and other places and other stupid policies. So they kind of held tight. So I think that holding tight in August, that's your inflation drop. And then maybe that's where they got those numbers from. Your thoughts, Kev?
Okay, well, my thoughts are there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, I know, definitely.
There's a lot to unpack. And I wish I was at that golf tournament with you, because I really
Oh
wanted to hear
man,
everything.
it was awesome. It's
Like,
the first time actually.
wanted to get, go ahead.
Yeah, it was the first time I went out because I hurt my hand actually. So it was the first time I really went out. So it was good to get out, get some fresh air, clear my mind. But I really got some good intel. Yeah, you would have loved it, man. Great day to be.
Yeah, I'm there for the intel. I love golf, but I suck at golf. But here's the deal with me and golf, right? My driver, my 3-wood, 3-iron, and 7-iron all go the same distance.
Right,
All
gotcha.
80 yards. Yeah,
Maybe you just get rid of those clubs.
Well, I just take a lacrosse stick with me and throw. There you go. Lacrosse stick and a putter.
Yeah.
We're good. But yeah, it's the intel that you want. I mean, obviously, as men in the finance industry,
Yeah.
the golf course is the number one place to have these conversations.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And
yeah.
now, as for the rates dropping, if that's what's going to be happening, then obviously it's Trudeau and the powers that be, his puppet masters, want you to think less about the terrible times. Now, if they're going to be dropping interest rates, but they're going to be ramping up monkeypox, that's a real oxymoron there. So they're going to simultaneously make it easier for people and then just completely ruin them a second time.
Yeah.
My thoughts, though, Aaron, is my biggest concern with interest rates dropping or money in Canada in general is the fact that the federal banks lose their charter on June 30th of next year. That's the Bank Act expiring after 100 years. And June 30th marks 100 years. Now, if Trudeau wants to cause chaos and allow the Emergencies Act to come back in and cancel the election next year, all he has to do is nothing. Just nothing. And the federal banks are going to be desperate for a charter. So they're going to have to split themselves up into 10 separate corporations and 10 separate banks and get provincial charters. Now, could you imagine a provincial chartered bank in Prince Edward Island and how nothing that they would ever make? Or a chartered bank in New Brunswick or Nova Scotia or Labrador? These are not places that can support or even charter banks because there wouldn't be enough influx to do anything with it. Now, like, give you an example of what I'm talking about here. Here in Panama, some of the smaller banks, they can't bring in more than $3 million into a personal bank account at a time at all because they can't cover it. They don't have the money. They can't cover it. They're not big enough. Right. The top 5 can bring in about 100 million per bank account. No problem. They can cover that.
Right.
But smaller banks can't. And to have a provincial charter in PEI, you might be able to bring in 500,000, maybe $1 million into a bank account, and that would be the end of that. So would the major banks even set up shop in Prince Edward Island or Nova Scotia or New Brunswick? And I think they won't. And I really think that that's a problem. Nova Scotia maybe, only because they've got the ports. But no, like what do we do here when the provinces can't charter? Quebec it's a zoo. The government in Quebec it's run by monkeys. They're all hopped up on LSD and they're all just stealing. And they have their own income taxes there and their own income tax law that Quebec supersedes. The laws of the province of Quebec supersede federal law because the Fed just doesn't want them to leave. And I say, you know what? Enough's enough. Go. Bye.
Right. Yeah.
You take your share of debt with you and get the hell out of here. So
there's many ways it can be. Yeah, it's crazy.
But you asked me my thought. My thought is there's going to be 7 provincially chartered banks per major bank next year. That's my thought.
Who knows? Maybe, they're still trying to promote the digital bank currency. So, I mean, right now that's off the charts. Canadians don't even want that. I've talked to many Canadians. A lot of bankers don't even know about it. It's really interesting, Kev. The other intel is just from talking to people, how clueless, like some really good professionals just are so focused in on our local and federal Canadian economy. Usually Canada follows suit what the US does. They lower rates, Canada lowers rates. Things are good in the US, where US is what 80% of our trade, or it used to be. A big chunk at least. If the US is looking great, usually Canada is looking great. But for some reason, I mean, their debt load in the U.S. I look at these things: 35 trillion in debt, and they're adding another trillion every 100 days. It's just unsustainable. It's a big level of printing money. Canada was doing that for a while too, with giving all the money to Ukraine and other places, and all these different bad policies. And when you print more money, it just makes people's lives, the value of our dollar worthless. Basically, it's worth less. So it makes everyone's life so much harder. So we don't know which road it's going to be. I mean, there could be war, there could be mpox, or right now it's very uncertain times economically. It's good to get at least a little bit of a break on the interest rate, but I don't trust it. I think they're looking to get us in another way. This is just a misdirection. That's what I think.
Yeah, well, it's something that I absolutely agree with. And so everybody, we have to be looking at a proper portfolio. And that's why Aaron's here tonight. You've all asked me, what's the best way to protect what you have? Diversification of your own personal portfolio. Property, if you can afford it, or if you've inherited it, you keep it. Don't sell property, keep it. Gold, silver, some cash, and crypto. If you have all 5 of those, then you're not going to lose everything when one thing crashes. So, and also here in Panama, everybody, you're going to love this. Aaron, I officially take every single solitary service that I do in tax, in purchasing and buying and trading corporations, and in selling real estate. I take Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. So you can, if you are into crypto, you can pay me for everything I do, 100% in crypto. I would rather have that, honestly, than any other currency out there. All righty. Aaron, mortgages. Let's talk about mortgages. The reason that I brought you on, here's my question, and then I'm going to shut up, which I never do, and let you have the floor for a few minutes, sir. A lot of problems that we have in Canada right now is that property values are artificially inflated to the point where garbage houses built in the 1980s by garbage corporations, which are falling apart, have a value somehow of $1.2 to $2.5 million. These are not mansions.
Fair. Yeah,
these are simple 7-room houses with maybe 3 bathrooms. And if you're going to sell that kind of a property, whom are you going to sell that to?
It's a great question.
Nobody's going to buy garbage, not at that price. But everybody, I was talking to Aaron about this, and Aaron's now going to talk to you about this. What if you had a house that's worth $1.8 million? Let's say, for argument's sake, you've inherited that house. Your parents died. We never pray for that, but they did, and you got the house. And you don't want to be tied to it, but you don't know what to do. I would say this, everybody. You talk to Aaron here, you get yourself a line of credit against the house, and then buy property here in Panama, which you can then earn a lot of money on Airbnb. Because right now, Panama is really picking up. It's going to be a G20 country in 10 years. This is the place to make money. So what if you bought 5 properties by leveraging your property in Canada and making money on all of them, and taking the US money that you make here in Panama and either keeping it in a bank account here and earning between 4 and 12%, or using the American money to pay off your mortgage back in Canada? Aaron, let's talk about
lots
this.
Of ideas. Lots of ideas.
Okay, I mean, if you floor, dude.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, what do they always say? Location, location, location. So if Panama's up and coming, as an example, then it sounds like a good investment. What I would suggest is that you own a home and you got some equity in it. You can leverage your house as far as getting a line of credit. Or if you don't qualify, which I have many clients who don't qualify, we have a lot of private investors that'll do a second mortgage based on just an appraisal. And if you don't need income, they don't take a look so much at your credit. I mean, they'd like to put you in the right direction, pay off property taxes or anything major, especially if you're behind on the mortgage. But we can just do an appraisal on your house. If you got some equity in it, up to 75, possibly 80%, depending where you are. If you're more in the cities, I can have lenders that go up to 80%. If you're more rural, you're probably looking 65 to 70%. But definitely we should have a chat and look into seeing what you'd like to do. I've always believed in real estate. It's just a matter of timing. And also from the golf tournament, I was talking with a couple of the appraisers, and they're saying give it about another 6 months to a year. Once the rates start to drop, you might see a change. That rate, the house prices might start to climb again. So the house prices start to climb. Hopefully, you can leverage that. You can go up to 80% to do a line of credit, but to get a line of credit, it's really hard these days with the stress test. They add 2% to the existing whatever the rate is to qualify, and then they're going to ask for perfect credit and perfect income. So it's either you're in the A category, in that category, or if you're self-employed, maybe you've taken a little bit of a hit on your credit. If you have the equity in it, it's definitely worth a shot to try and use that. Maybe take out 100 grand. You can use that towards purchasing something in Panama, or Kevin will give you all the different options. But using your house in Canada to definitely buy an investment somewhere else, a lot of people are doing. A lot of people move to Florida. That's one way people move there. Kev, I miss anything there?
No, you didn't miss anything at all. It'd be a matter now of how easy is it for someone to get, let's say,
Good question.
the
Great
house
question.
over
Yeah.
$1.8 million house. The house was probably bought by a family, let's say in 1980, for about 190. That sounds about right for Toronto area. It's jumped to 1.8 million.
Right.
You're not going to find a buyer for that. So how much, if it's 1.8 million, you're saying what, between 70 and 80% that you can take off?
Yeah. In Toronto, I can go up to probably 75 to 80%.
Wow.
But let's say they have 500,000 mortgage, and they need to take out 500,000 and use that money towards whatever they want to use it for. We have private lenders, or we're going to try and look at doing the best option for you. A line of credit would be the best option, because you can always pay it down and then use it again as you go. I've had several clients who just go ahead and they take out a big line of credit. You only pay on what you use, and it's there for a rainy day, so you can use that. It's a great option, a great tool, and you can only the interest you pay on it. But if you don't qualify, there are options. I have lots of investors who do what's called private investing, and they'll do a second mortgage. Rate there a little bit higher, maybe between 10 and 12%, a little bit higher. But no questions asked, just an appraisal. They don't care about income as much, and the whole qualifying thing, because they're not a bank. They're an investor, and they're allowed to lend money to whoever they want, per se. It's their money. But that being said, I mean, who knows when rules can change. I think it's going to be very interesting. I'm just happy to see that rates are dropping a little bit, even though it sounds superficial, kind of on the surface with all these weird numbers, 2.5 inflation. But like unemployment rate, I see a lot of people in the line at the food banks. That's a really big indicator where we are. But Canadians in a break, and however we got carbon tax, we got high gas prices. We can get a little bit of a break on a mortgage rate coming this September 4th. I'm all for it. I think they really should, get things back a little bit in order for Canadians.
Well, I would like to see that.
Awesome.
I mean,
Yeah.
nothing would thrill me more than seeing Canadians getting a break anywhere. A break at the pumps, a break at the grocery store, a break on mortgages, a break on the interest rate, some taxes being removed. But unfortunately, that's not really been the case, Aaron, is that we have more taxes being added here. But we also have the Canadian people misinterpret what everything is. Okay. So the CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency, everyone fears these people. Everyone thinks that they're a police force. They're not. Everyone thinks they investigate everything you do. They don't. They can't even look at your bank account without your permission. Yeah. So capital gains. This is a big one here. Everyone says, but capital gains, I don't want to put my house in a corporation because I'll pay capital gains. It says who? Who? I'm sorry, who said that? Okay. Because if you've got a corporation, Aaron, and you sell a property, you could sell the whole corporation and get rid of the house at the same time, and there's no capital gain because they bought the corp and the corp owns the house. No capital gains.
Yeah.
But if you do sell the house out of the corporation, well, you could contact me and I can just simply take that corporation away from you. I'll buy it from you. And I'm responsible for your tax bill, which of course we know the CRA is never going to get because I'm going to take that debt and sell to another corporation somewhere else. You have that option. So let's not fear things. If you're wanting to buy an investment property, Aaron's the guy to talk to here to get the funding to do it.
Awesome.
Okay. That's how it works. and you contact me, and what I'll do is I'm going to be the guy that sets up your numbered corporation and get your property into that numbered corporation so that you don't have capital gain on your property if you're buying a rental property.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, everybody. Why are you telling people what you own? I don't get it.
Right.
Aaron, I
Yeah.
gotta,
The less
you're
you
like,
speak,
okay,
the better. That's just the general rule. If you don't have to speak, don't speak more than you have to. That's like, and that's just
well,
in life,
we,
general rule.
we were
Yeah.
talking about it. We're talking about Aaron, we're talking about you have people that you get mortgages for them, and they go
Yeah.
blabbing on Facebook, I got a mortgage.
Right.
No,
No, yeah, I
no,
know. Yeah.
no,
And
you
don't
don't
go
do
to your
that.
bank and talk about politics or anything else, because we know what the banks are looking. It's really sad. Like, what a sad day that you can't just everybody should have equal rights in a sense. And
We
I saw
should.
the one with Rebel News. I'm not even going to get into that about the debanking and stuff like that. But I also heard there was going to be some new stuff for people for their own residences, that they're going to do an extra charge for capital gains when you go to sell or something. But all these little crazy things, and then they talk about corporate greed and this and that. This is leading down a bigger rabbit hole, folks. We're just talking about the little things in this matrix, but all these little things where they're trying to grab a money grab from here, from what's it called, from driving, and there's the photo radar. I got a ticket, now I have to pay a few $100 for what? That was 10 kilometers. It's exact. It's like they're trying to squeeze us from all angles, Canadians. That's why it worries me that people are just focused on the mortgage rate, when every little quarter that goes down is like $100 difference on your mortgage, maybe, give or take. So everyone's, we got to keep our eye on the ball, and they're trying to squeeze us from all angles, and we got to continue to push or get good policies. Good policies. Printing money and sending it to Ukraine doesn't have any investment or return in terms of fixing our roads. Or how about take some of that money and just order some pizzas and pay off, give some pizzas to all those Canadians in line at the food banks. Or, I don't understand. It's not making sense why we have all these problems, and they're just printing and printing money. And, we're in just the worst place.
Well, we were warned by the previous Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, that Trudeau's far left ideology and far left policies would bankrupt the country. And he was right. You got to remember, everybody, that our
100%.
previous
Yeah.
Prime Minister left us with a $10 billion surplus. He was pretty
I liked him. I really liked his policies. No issues with
conservative
his
guy.
policies.
Well,
I
now
was
we're
happy
1.4.
back then. Yeah,
Oh,
I
we
was
all were.
happy guy back there. Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't a great economy back then, but it was good enough.
Even in
And
2008, it could have gotten really bad here. I felt like they did a great job in terms of kind of weathering the storm. So I'll give full props to Stephen Harper back then. But now we're in different times, and I feel like they're trying to squeeze us for all their spending habits. And who's going to have to pay the brunt of it all? Hardworking Canadians. And we got to find our ways to make the proper investments. But as Kevin said, in order to weather the storm, you got to have many different revenue streams. You can't just rely on just one job or Bitcoin, and that's it. That's your one thing. You got to have real estate, gold, different things, different jobs, different potential incomes. That's the way a person should weather the storm. My dad always said that, and he's been in mortgage sales for 50 years. One of the things he's told me from a kid, you should have many different revenue streams, because you never know when the water runs dry on one of those or two of those revenue streams, and you got three others that can fill those gaps.
absolutely correct. And the
Yeah,
idea would be to talk to a guy like yourself to be able to leverage a
definitely.
property to
Yeah.
do this thing.
And if I
Well,
can't do
look,
it, I'll push you in the right direction. I guarantee it. That I can tell
well,
you.
as a mortgage broker, and as
Yes,
someone
of
who's been
course.
around real estate and property for you said over 20 years, is I want to get your thoughts on someone who's got a paid off house. Is it worthwhile just sitting on a paid off house, or should you leverage it and buy other property with it? Let's go ahead.
Is it? Oh, sorry. Say that last part. Is it worth
Is
to?
it worthwhile just to sit on a $1.8 million house and do
It
nothing with it?
depends.
Or should
I think you got to look at where you are. If you're in Toronto and you know that rates are going down, it might be good to hold, because from talking to different people, if the rates go down, people are expecting values to possibly come up. However, there are other variables, that come into play. All of a sudden we go into a pandemic again, or a war of some sort. Like there's other things that could come into play that we have to kind of sit and wait back. When it's a bad time, it may not be the best time to make investments. That being said, also, I think you should be proactive in an investment. If there's something that makes a lot of sense, and happiness is a factor. A lot of people are, I know a lot of Canadians have moved to Florida. They're just not happy being, in Canada right now. So, or they've gotten a second investment in Florida. So that's a potential Panama as well. So happiness is definitely a factor. So, we can't just look at mortgage rates. We have to look at, what is right for our families, what's right for us. And there are options out there. And a lot of Canadians don't know about these options. We don't have to sit here and just be, beaten like a stick and just give in to everything, tax here and tax there. There's other options, and you just got to get ahead of it. Now is a great time, because honestly, between now and USA elections and whoever knows next year, 2025, who knows if the Horvath wins again. I don't know what to make of it, Kev. I really don't know what to make of it. We need to change the batter really fast.
Well, what I can make of anything is that I'm not going to allow world politics to influence me to the point where I am unhappy. I'm going to make the best possible decision for me and my family, regardless of what the planet's doing. Look, I've been a public speaker, a public figure in Canada for 8 years, and I can tell you there's no real benefit to doing it in Canada. But now that I'm in Panama, being a public figure is absolutely amazing. Why? Panama's got freedom of speech. Panama's got freedom of commerce. You do what you want here, as long as you don't hurt anybody. It's even to the point, Aaron, it's amazing here in Panama City. If you buy a plot of land right downtown Panama and you tell the local government, hey guys, I'm going to build a 180 floor tower here. It'll be the tallest in Latin America. And they're going to say, oh, okay. And you just do it. You just do it. So long as, of course, you follow the building code that's been established, and they pretty much follow the American building code for skyscrapers here, then you can do what you want. If you have a really good idea here, you can make money here.
Right.
And what I wanted to point out is that, yeah, Aaron, you're right. Canadians are not happy in Canada. They've got these really expensive homes that you really can't do much with. And Florida, we covered this on my show a couple nights ago, is that condominiums are dropping in price to less than $85,000.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. You can get a good buy. You can find a good buy. It depends where you want. Yeah.
Yeah. And me personally, I'm kind of looking at a few places on the West Coast of Florida and on the Panhandle right now.
I'm seeing that the weather's nicer on the West Coast lately, actually, to be honest. I've been studying it. So, I mean, if you can get a cheaper or reasonable economical condo, and you can renovate it. You can rent it out. They have management companies pretty much almost anywhere where you go. So the money that you make for the rent or the lease, that can certainly pay for the mortgage, whatever you get if you decide to take out a small mortgage on a property in Panama or in Florida. I mean, yeah, I'm all for real estate. Real estate I like. Stock market, you can't see it. It can go up and down. Real estate's a little bit more stable, I would say. And you can always go and check out your property. You can add to your property. You can put money into the property. There's many things that you can do, many variables. I've actually lately, a lot of families own a home. They rent out their basement, and then they rent out maybe 1 or 2, rooms upstairs. They're allowing that to happen also. So, I mean, tough times, people are finding ways to get creative.
Well, creativity is certainly something you can do when you are outside of Canada. Now,
that's what we need, man, right now.
I will say this to everybody. Look, if you got a property in Canada, in a major city especially, it's still going to be worth something.
Yeah.
But if it's completely and totally paid off, that actually does end up boding problems for you. Now, I want to get your opinion on this. I was always warned that, let's say you did pay your house off. That means there's going to be no lien against the property whatsoever.
Correct.
You always want to have a lien against your property in some way to stop the powers that be from doing anything with it. So one of the tactics was to get a loan, talk to someone like yourself, and get a loan for $10,000 against the property. So let's just say a round number, a $1 million house, I want a $10,000 loan. but I would like you to put a $1 million lien against the property for that $10,000 loan and charge me $200 a month for that. So
Right.
now, if I'm going to be in a position where the CRA wants to come at me, they can't, because
Like
the
there's
house
nothing for
already
them to
has,
take. Right. Right.
yeah, it already has
That's
that
an
lien.
interesting, very creative idea. Have to look further into that, but it's definitely creative. I know for a line of credit, on $1 million, if you qualify, and let's say you put 500,000, you don't have to use the whole full 500,000. You just pay on whatever you use. So I like that tool, but you have to qualify, and they make it so hard to qualify, Kev, with a stress test, and they want bank statements, or they want T4s, assessments, and it's got to be fully within the range. And they look at your debt service ratio, and you got to have a 680 beacon. Anything less than 680 beacon, you won't qualify for a line of credit. But that's where the other option is plan B, like I mentioned before. We have investment private lenders that will look at lending money based on the equity in your house, and all they want is an appraisal, certified appraisal that they feel comfortable with. So those are definitely options. I love real estate. Gold is also good, and some other different things, but definitely I like diversity. And the other thing about owning an investment, I mean, you have options. You can still use your house here, and you can still travel and get away, when you need to your investment company or real estate house, wherever it is. And you can also rent it out. Airbnb, there's management companies. So different various revenue streams that can pay the mortgage. That's fantastic. Everyone's looking to get away these days. So I mean, tell all your friends, and you'll probably be their top friend if you got a great place to go to.
Okay,
Right,
now
Kev?
here, absolutely, and I live in a phenomenal city. I'll tell you that. Panama City is
Yeah.
absolutely remarkable in every way.
Yeah, man.
It's got everything. It's got the
How's
old
your
world
Spanish?
place.
But how's your Spanish?
Oh,
Is it
terrible,
improved?
I do not. I don't spend any time learning Spanish down here. I spend all my time learning tax law and
Okay,
more
awesome.
tax law, and just fighting taxes in Canada. So I think I'm going to have to stick with hiring the locals here to do my translations for me. And some of these guys are only $10 a day.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and my grocery bill is less than $25 a week, just for the record.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
That's
the
not
whole
even
thing, the
possible
whole
here. No, I
and
believe you. That's not even
that hey,
possible in Toronto.
that's 3 nights a week in restaurants.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, that's crazy. That's
Tell me about it.
insane. You can't for $25, you said? $25? That's
$25, yeah.
that's like a Subway sandwich, I guess.
Here,
That's for one
I'll just give
person.
you an idea of pricing. All right, so a 5.5 pound chicken, grass
Yeah.
fed, is $4. $4.55 is
Wow.
the most I've
Okay.
paid for a chicken that size. So I'll get 2 at a time, and I'll roast them, cut them
Right.
up, and I've got chicken and well, I make chicken omelets. So I'm eating eggs, which are about $3 for 36.
Mhm.
There you go. So that's not even $13
Right.
right there. And then I'll go and I'll grab about 10 pounds of ground beef for $11, $12. So there we are. And
Yeah.
some greens here and there.
And it's more the organic stuff, not the stuff where they're spraying and they got all these chemicals, and you
I can't
see
afford
like
spray down here.
things moving on it, and it's
No.
not healthy what we're eating here either. That's another topic. We'll save that one for another discussion.
Yeah, we certainly will. I mean, food has a lot to do with mood and brain power.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, everyone, like, Aaron, you and I, we live the same life. We get up around 4 or 5 in the morning. We're talking to clients at 6:30,
Well,
7
you get up
o'clock.
at 4 or 5 in the morning. I might sleep in a little longer than that, but
Yeah, but we're talking all day. We're
right.
burning
Yes.
brain power all day. I
Yeah,
actually had
my
to talk
cheeks are
to,
hurting today already. So,
but I talked to a
I'm gonna go for a cheek
nutritionist. I said,
massage.
look,
Yeah.
how do I keep the brain awake longer?
Yeah.
And they got me into the organic eating. I'm thinking, well, I already live in Panama, so let's just eat organic. And Aaron, I want to say thank you for giving all the advice that you've been giving to Canadians, because there are a few
Thank you. I
Canadians who
appreciate that.
they took your advice and they
Yeah.
leveraged their properties and they came here to Panama. And one of my clients has now bought a unit in the same building that I'm in. Now he bought a really big unit. I'm jealous, but
Awesome. Yeah.
for him. And it
Yeah.
cost him. It's like it's almost nothing.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
almost
lot. It's
nothing.
a lot more economical to live. How's the gas prices down there?
Uh, 98 cents, I think it was for regular
98 cents.
liter.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're paying $1.90 now. I noticed the gas prices came down a touch, maybe. So it's about 98 cents Panama. And from what I understand, in Russia, it's about like 61, 62 cents that citizens are paying. Why are Canadians paying almost $2 for a liter? It just, again, just keep squeezing us from different angles. Like we're all tired. We're just working so hard. We're so tired.
Mhm.
We get no UV rays here. You know, it's good to have an investment property. Good to get away. If you can make it work, there's creative options, creative ideas. It's good for the family. It's good for hopefully an investment, another alternative revenue. That's what's really another important thing there.
Aaron, private lenders now. Let's talk about that. So
Yeah,
you're talking if your credit score is not 680 or higher, you may
yeah,
not get a line of credit from
yeah.
a major bank,
Correct.
but you will from a private lender. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, private lenders don't do line of credits, but they're more like just you have your loan. Let's say it's 100 grand, and it's a second mortgage. You just pay whatever the monthly payment is that you agreed at the beginning. Normally, they do a 1 year term, but some of them will offer a 2 year term. And then my main goal is like second mortgages. You usually pay higher rates than a first mortgage rate. We're all reasonable, all affordable. But for your application, we'll figure it out, but all within range, something that's reasonable. And then basically you make your monthly payment. And hopefully, if you get the right investment property, you'll have someone with a management company, where you lease it out to somebody, or Airbnb, where you're making some sort of revenue to cover the cost. That's the main goal. The value goes up. You get an extra revenue. You might even get, you get to use your property whenever you want it. So many benefits. It's good for everything, good for family, good for just you need a little extra money, and you don't know where to put your money. Another investment property, I'm all for it. Just find the right place. Make sure you're happy with the right place. That's
Yeah.
happiness is very important.
Yeah. So a private lender, this is what I tell people,
Yeah.
especially when we're doing income tax. There's only one advantage to you, the general public, to actually doing your taxes, we'll call it properly. And
Mhm.
that is if you report really high earnings, then you can get yourself a mortgage from a federally chartered bank. But
Correct.
Aaron has private lenders that
Yes.
don't care about credit score and really
Right.
don't care what you do for a living. They don't care. They don't even care if you're dealing cocaine in the back alleys. They just want to do
Well, they might care
business.
a little bit, actually. Kevin, I don't want to go too far there, but I remember for a time they had a lot of the cannabis homes. Like people would just make it from their home, and you'd go in, and the appraisal would go in. And I actually didn't know, or the client didn't disclose, but for a time they don't want to do where there's a grow up or something like that. However, they'll give you the option in some cases that if you clean it up or you pay to clean it up, maybe they'll lend or something. So got to be careful in that sense, but
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah,
they're
but
looking
don't
at,
do cocaine. It's
yeah,
bad. Don't
basically, yeah, don't be Hunter Biden. Basically. We'll call
for
it the
sure.
White House.
But the private lender is quite easy to get. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're very flexible, very, very flexible. They just want a nice property that's not a lot of issues. Like it's reasonable. Yeah, you need some paint, some cosmetic work, but nothing major structural damage. If you have anything major, you may need to fix it beforehand in some cases. But the house is the most important to them. The house is everything, because that's the asset that they're lending on, is the equity in the property. So yeah.
Okay. So for those who are concerned about income tax, well, don't be, because if you know that you're not ever going to try to apply for a mortgage from a federally chartered bank, then let's get your taxes as low as we can get them, like legally, of
Right.
course,
Yeah.
near zero levels if we can. That's what I do. But if you are looking to get yourself a federally chartered bank loan, then we obviously have to report higher taxes. Now,
Yeah, the rates are much better, obviously, if I can get through a bank loan. But it depends. It really, everyone's situation is different. It's always good to go through the situation, analyze, always try to get you in the best rate possible. But sometimes rate is not the main focus. There might be other things. Maybe another lender might offer more money, or may offer a line of credit, or more flexibility on payment terms. So it's not always the rate. Like everyone's focused. Like, what's the difference between 5.25 and 5.2, 0.05? and everyone's always focused on the rate, but it's not necessarily. You have to be focused on a client's needs. So I'll tailor your application to your needs, to your rate that's going to be comfortable for you for the payment. And we'll try to work something out, and Kevin will fix the other side in terms of finding the right property that's for you. But Panama sounds it's on the up, that's for sure. I'm hearing many different sources, like Florida. You can also get a good buy certain places, but just gotta look. I think the buys are out there. It's buy low and sell high.
Oh yeah, the buys are definitely here, and the opportunities here are absolutely golden. I mean,
Yeah,
the
I
office
believe it.
towers,
I believe it.
yeah, the Panamanian office towers have the same problem as office towers all over the world. They're half empty.
Yeah,
Why? Because people are working from home. I mean,
yeah.
microphone, laptop,
Doesn't change in
camera,
Toronto. Yeah,
phone, don't need an office anymore.
yeah,
I still
yeah,
prefer to work in an office if you want the
yeah,
truth,
yeah,
but
yeah.
because the office towers are empty, there's now opportunities for you to come down here and make an offer to buy an entire floor of a
That's
building
crazy.
and have them deed it for you, which is actually
Right.
quite easy to do here in Panama. So
That's
could
it.
you
Yeah.
imagine you buy the 12th, 13th, and 14th floor, and they call them floor 13 here, by the way. They don't do that 14 nonsense. But imagine just buy 3 floors of a building and turn it into your home if you wanted to, or do the right thing and turn it into Airbnb rentals. You could do that.
That's
You
interesting.
could
That's
do
very
barrack
interesting.
style designs and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And the
yeah.
really cool part about the architecture here is that
Yeah.
almost every office tower has got floor to ceiling windows.
Awesome. And
Floor to
the sun is shining.
12 hours a day, every day. It's equatorial. So
Right.
everybody gets up at 5 to see the sun come up. The sun's up around 6,
Right.
perfectly at 6, and then
Right.
down at 6:30.
And you
So
don't
you
have to
got
freeze
12
your
and a half hours.
tuchus off when you walk the dog in the morning, I guess. It's just
You're
nice
definitely
and
Jewish. You said
comfortable.
tuchus. Yeah, you're definitely Jewish.
Hey, listen, you got a mortgage guy, call in the tribe, But
I would say so. But yeah, you're
no,
right. There's
yeah,
the weather here is absolutely remarkable. There's sunlight all the time. We're in the rainy season right now here in Panama, but what does that mean? Is a little bit of overcast, some real nasty clouds move in, it dumps a bit of water, and the clouds move on. Today was
right.
a rainstorm that put about a foot of water on the ground for about
Wow.
half an hour. And then when the clouds went away and the rain stopped, all that water just disappears.
Incredible.
Washes
Incredible.
everything out. Yeah, it's beautiful, man. It really
Yeah.
is. It's not like the Costa Rican or Nicaraguan season where you get 4 or 5 hours of rain a day.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Doesn't
yeah,
happen.
yeah, 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 yeah,
10
yeah.
minutes, 30 minutes, and so on.
Would you say it's kind of like Florida in a sense? I know Florida, like in the summer, you get like a half hour, 45-minute or 1 hour rain, and then it clears up. Kind of.
Yeah, Tampa has a lot of rain. Yes, so it is like the
Yeah.
Tampa area. Yeah,
Gotcha.
for sure.
Gotcha. Okay.
Aaron, we've got about 7 minutes left here. So, what advice? I just want to get you now, as a mortgage broker of over 20 years. I'm going to take myself off the screen. What advice do you have for anybody and everybody who's looking for a mortgage or looking to leverage a property with a mortgage? Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. First thing is don't listen to too many people. So many people have their own agenda and maybe not even know what they're talking about. If you're going to listen to somebody, definitely someone who's got like a little bit of experience. And I'm not just saying a year or 6 months, that just someone just started brand new at the bank. Your home is your number one asset. And you want to definitely get advice from someone who's got experience. So we'll start off with that. Next, I would say your application is not the same as everyone else's application. So I think that kind of tailors into the advice thing. Whereas when I review it, I can kind of get a better picture of which way to point you in the direction. So what you see on TV and everyone's talking, oh yeah, get a mortgage for 5% for 5 years, this and that. You may not qualify for that. And your friend may not qualify for that, and they may have said they have, so they may be messing with you. The best thing to do, honestly, is call us or call Kevin, and we do an application. I'll review the application. I'll give you some options. I'll give you several options. What I think is whether we can do a line of credit, or maybe just to increase your mortgage as it is. Maybe it's actually a blessing that I'll give you a free estimate to best way to work it and try to get you the best mortgage rate for your application, but at the same time enough money so you can get a down payment for a property in Panama or Florida. And like I always say, my dad was in the business for over 50 years. He loved real estate, and he loved real estate for a reason, because you can touch it, you can go visit a property, you can go meet with your clients, It's not the stock market where it's kind of like invisible and like it's just paper at the end of the day. It goes up, it goes down. But real estate, at least in Toronto, has been very consistent. You know, again, my father, I'll go back to this. My father always said also to get 5 different revenue streams. So this could be a great way for someone who's got some equity and they don't know what to do with it. You know, the government's on your case in various ways. Getting an investment property is, you know, you can leverage your house. Yes, you'll take out extra money, but hopefully if we find the right investment on the new property, you can do Airbnb, you can lease it out, and also use the benefits from it for yourself, for your family. You know, so many Canadians are having such a hard time. What a great way to, it's sort of like another cottage in a sense. You know, take your money and just enjoy it in the way that you need to without being restricted. So give us a call and we'll look into it for you based on your application, what's best for you with several options. And am I missing anything there, Kev? Anything that you would like to?
I can't think of anything really. I mean, it's a matter of, I know that we don't want to really go through a mortgage application on the show because they're really not that much fun.
No, they're definitely not.
No, but when someone does want a mortgage, you know, get a hold of me and I'll set up a 3-way call. You, me, and Aaron, and we can get you that mortgage. The last thing I did want to ask you here, the chip reverse mortgage. Your thoughts? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think from what I understand, it has to be like 50% equity, and the way it is that they will they will actually pay you whatever your monthly mortgage. Instead of you paying a mortgage payment, they will actually pay you like sort of a monthly payment every month, so you can use towards expenses and this and that. But that being said, for someone, if they're going to leave, they're older and they're going to leave their property to someone, you know, it may not be good because it sucks the equity out over time and depends on what the mortgage rate is. But there are other things that other options out there. So, you know, I would recognize right away you're an older folks and, you know, you may not have monthly payments. Some private lenders will take up all their prepayments up front. So no prepayments for a year or no payments for 6 months. They'll just take it up front. And then this way, just go to work every day. You know, you don't have any payments. It's already prepaid into the loan. They take out an extra maybe 5,000 to 10,000 to increase the loan to cover those payments for a year. So you could have like almost like Leon's, don't pay a cent for like a year kind of a thing. Some of my private lenders are very good with that. Yeah.
We're going to have to talk though about not doing reverse mortgages in our next meeting, which you are coming back.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a huge fan, but yeah.
But we'll talk about how to, instead of doing that, instead of a reverse mortgage, which I think is a bad idea.
Yeah.
To leverage your property for Bitcoin and live off the Bitcoin earnings. There's a big one.
That's interesting.
And we will talk about that next show. That's for sure. Aaron, awesome. I want to say thank you very much for being here. We are indeed out of time.
Awesome. Pleasure. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good evening. If you need anything, reach out to Kevin. It's my pleasure to assist you guys. Awesome. Thank you so much again.
Aaron Cates, thanks for being here, man. Really good to see you.
Awesome. All right, my pleasure. You too, man. Thank you.
So Aaron Cates, everyone, Northwood Mortgage in Toronto. They do a lot of advertising. You probably heard that tune, Northwood Mortgage. You remember that one? Well, the reason that they're all over the radio is because they are hyper successful. And this gentleman here, like I said, he got #1 ranking there in 2008. So that was a rough time for him to do so. I trust Aaron implicitly to get the job done, which is why I work with Aaron. If you're looking to get your hands on a private loan or a mortgage through a chartered bank, this is the only guy that I would push anybody towards to get the job done. And that's why I had him here to talk to all of you, put a face to the name. If you want to get your hands on a mortgage or leverage your property to buy property here in Panama, contact me. My website, right there, KevinJJohnston.com. I want to say thank you all for being here. This is the Real Estate and Money Show, where we talk about all things money, all things real estate, and probably going to be crypto and tax. Quite a bit of it's going to be crypto and tax as well. But I'm always eternally grateful for each and every one of you coming out to see us every single Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on freedomreport.ca. And we'll see you soon. Have a good night.